Hey guys, Jared, Transformational Coaching, Action is Transformation. In this video, we're going to get into how do you maintain a deep relationship. When I first got into the search for finding love, I had no idea that you actually needed a set of skills to create deep and long-lasting intimacy. I just thought that I could go out there, be myself, and if I was myself, then the right person would come along and we'd match and everything would just work effortlessly. That was a really naive view, and if you still think that, I totally understand, but the reality of it is everything in our life has a specific set of steps that we can follow and that we can master in order to create the outcome that we desire, whether it's a business, whether it's relationship, whether it's friendship, whatever it is that we want to create in the world. There is a specific set of steps that we can take to make our life easier for ourselves and create what it is that we really want. So I'm going to share with you 3 key facets or behaviors and ways of being that I've learned to embody and to embrace in order to create a longer lasting deep relationship. There's this guy, I've talked about him before on my channel. His name is John Gottman, and he's one of the definitive authorities when it comes to relationship. And what he finds is that there's a certain set of rules that couples follow consciously or unconsciously that allows them to create long-lasting security and intimacy in relationships. And the first thing that they do is, number 1, is they attune to one another's feelings. What does it mean to attune to another individual's feelings? Well, it means that they have feelings towards us. That's what an emotion is. It's energy in motion, and it's those feelings that are being generated based off of how the relationship is functioning or not functioning. And so they attune to one another's feelings. They see that that person is either feeling sad or happy or joyful or depressed in one moment, and they feel for that their partner, and then they start changing or shifting their behaviors to get them into a better state. Attunement means feeling someone else and then responding accordingly. It literally means in tune. When you think of being in tune, I think of like a radio station, right? You can flip the radio station, certain radio waves, and you'll tune in to a certain frequency. And it's the same thing with our relationships. Attunement is we attune to another person's emotional frequency and we respond to that accordingly based off of what it is that they need and how we can support our partner. And so attunement is something that we naturally do if you're empathic or highly sensitive. You know, I used to be incredibly sensitive. I still am, but now it's no longer in the traditional empath way. A lot of empaths feel everything and they're worried and they're concerned, but really a healthier way of being an empath is choosing when you want to turn on and feel everything and turn off. And not a lot of empaths have this ability. They're unconsciously attuning to other people, other relationships all the time because they're trying to keep themselves safe. So they're trying to figure out what the layout of their environment is. So the most successful relationships, you'll find that partners or couples attune to one another's feelings, and they're very sensitive to each other's feelings. Oh, yep, this person's hurting, or this person's off, or this person. And so they attune to it. When we attune to everyone's feelings, or our partner's feelings, and you can attune to your clients if you're a coach and use that method to really create deep relationships. But if you attune to your partner's feelings from moment to moment, then you're going to increase the probability of having a successful relationship because you care about their emotions. And that's important of being in a healthy relationship. Number 2, using repair attempts in the relationship. What is a repair attempt? Gottman talks about, now he studied this for over 4 decades. He talks about any time that we're in an argument with our spouse or there's a possibility for a heated moment because there's too many demands being placed upon us. What he talks is about using repair attempts to lessen the severity or the emotional tension. So let's say that you're getting home and you're really exhausted and your wife wants to spend time with you because she's had a long day, you've had a long day, but you don't want to spend time with her because you're exhausted and you're tired. And so you can feel this like emotional tension building up because you're not giving her what it is that she wants in this moment. And so let's say that you start feeling this emotional tension build up and you kind of get this sense that she's about to say something like, you're always tired at the end of the day and you never want to hang out with me. Or, she starts making maybe an accusation of, you don't hang out with me enough. Do you really love me? Or something like that, where it has the potential to go into a negative spiral, which we naturally want to avoid. In that moment, you can do what's called a repair attempt. And a repair attempt is something that it's a method or a technique that we use to lessen the severity. So if there's a lot of tension coming up in the relationship because, she's not getting her needs met and you're too exhausted in that moment to give her the emotional support that she needs. So you can do something funny like, oh man, this guy's an asshole. Why did I marry him? He's never there for me. And say something funny to lessen the severity of the situation. I'll give you a perfect example of this. Gottman, in his book, he talks about a couple that he was coaching. And at one point, the couple was going back and forth and they were kind of fighting over all the responsibilities that they had for their child. And then they were starting to blame each other. And then they noticed that they were blaming each other and getting defensive. And then the wife made a funny face. She literally just went, and the husband just sat back and laughed because she made this funny face. And then they both laughed about it. And that was a way they felt the emotional tension building up. That was a way to calm the emotional tension and then bring it to a place of relaxation, resetting the emotional tension is what she did. And so that was a really quick repair attempt that brought in funny humor, that brought in a whole nother energy that allowed everyone to chill out and relax a little bit. And that's what we want to do in our relationships. Any times where you see there might be emotion, where things are getting tense, or where the situation doesn't feel good or it's going in the wrong direction, the best thing that you can do in that moment is use a repair attempt. And a repair attempt is a great way to relax the situation. And you'll see that the most successful relationships, the longest lasting relationships, Gottman has found, the couples have mastered repair attempts. They've mastered the ability to laugh at situations that are laughable. And they bring that into the relationship and it eases the emotional tension. Number 3, they don't try to change the other person's mindset or way of seeing the world or their way of being. I see many times in relationships, and when I look back at some of my past relationships, I see where women tried to change me. I remember being in high school, a girl trying to get me to wear emo pants because, her parents were going through a divorce and she was taking all that on. And so she wanted me to be in that dark energy as well, too. And I remember just experiencing that and thinking, why is this person trying to change me? Why can't they just accept me for me and who I am? And that's what the best relationships don't do. The partners, they don't try to change each other. You don't actually have to have the same value systems. You don't have to see the world the same way. Now, that certainly helps in terms of having a successful relationship, but it's not a necessity. And the reason why it's not a necessity is because when you have respect, admiration, love, and appreciation for your partner, it doesn't matter. They don't need to be the same person as you. A lot of the times we get in relationships with another individual because they're not like us, because there's someone, they're very different from us in certain ways. I was coaching one couple, I remember last year, and they had forgotten why they got in love. And then I reminded, once I had them reflect back on their memories of the reason why they got together, they started realizing, oh yeah, wait a second, we fell in love with one another because we valued these parts of each other. And now we've grown to forget that. And so it's important to remind yourself of why you got in love with someone in the first place, what you find about them that's really attractive, why you care for them, and hold that up at the top. Your partner does not need to be the same person as you. In fact, that's probably the best part about the relationship is they're very different from you. As we get to know another human being and grow in love, we'll see that there's parts and aspects of them who have nothing to do with how we are. And that gets us curious about the other individual. And gets us thinking how do they think? What about them? What about them makes them motivated, or what's their driving force? And so the most successful relationships, they don't try to change the other person's behavior. They don't try to change their lifestyle. They don't try to change anything about them. You don't need your partner to be like you in order to have a successful relationship or in order to love them or feel close. If you're trying to get your partner or a person in a relationship who's like you, if you're trying to get them to be like you or want them to be like you, then you're not accepting them for who they really are. You're just in love with yourself and you want to make everyone else like you. And what love is seeing a human being outside of your own desires, outside of your own wants, outside of your own filters, seeing them beyond your own experience of the world. And so it's really key that when you're in a relationship with someone, don't try to get them to be a different person. Don't try to change them. And what makes relationships so great is when we can put aside our preconceptions, our filters. We can actually see an individual for who they really are, beyond our own desires, beyond our own needs, beyond our past experiences. And that's where we can get really curious and excited about the person in our life. That's where we can really start asking ourselves, wow, what's really important about this what is this person really about? And I remember the first time I saw someone beyond my own needs and desires and my own filters, and it was amazing because I fell in love with that woman. And the relation, we don't have the relationship anymore because we went our separate ways. But I remember falling in love with her and being like, wow, I really didn't see these aspects of her because I had these filters on. I had these past experiences and these glasses that I put on. I was looking at her through my own needs and desires. But then once I saw her completely as a separate human being for myself, it was amazing. I saw all these other deeper aspects about her that I couldn't see before. So it's important to not try to change another person's mindset or way of seeing the world. You just accept and admire and respect them for who they are, not who you want them to be or who you think they need to be. The most successful relationships have individuals who deeply care for one another, and they don't try to change the other person. They admire, respect, and cherish the person outside of their own selfish needs and desires. That's what a healthy relationship is about. Thanks so much for joining me, you guys. If you liked what you saw here, please subscribe. Please share with any family or friends if you found this really valuable and helpful. This is relationships. That's what makes life worth living. All the studies and research show that relationships and being a part of a social community is what really gives us satisfaction in life outside of finances, outside of all these other things, that fame, all this other stuff. It doesn't really matter. What's most important to every human being, whether they recognize it or not, is having a healthy relationship in their life, or having healthy relationships, romantic, friendship, feeling a part of a social community. That's what gives us the zest and joy of life. So if you like what you've seen here, feel free to check out the links below. I got some free classes there. And I also am doing live coaching on a daily basis with Laura. So if you want to sign up for live coaching, we'd be more than honored and delighted to have you be a part of it. That's all I have for this time. Be looking out more for the relationship series that Laura and I are doing. We're doing live interviews. We're doing live coaching, anything to do with mastering life and relationship. We're doing it in this Sacred Relationship series. We'd be delighted for you to join.